Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1. It is about 7:15 in the morning. I've been up for a few hours. I actually went into the house and read the comments on the video I posted. A lot of good comments, a lot of things I'm definitely going to take care of as I get time and money. But let me talk about last night. I did cheat last night and I went and got a chair. It made such a huge difference. That chair, leaning back in front of the fire, was very relaxing. Probably could have slept right there. Sitting on those these homemade benches, it was nice, nothing wrong with it, but it is not the same. So having a few of these, big morale booster. Sprinkled, maybe 10 sprinkles. I was actually disappointed because I wanted it to test out my thing, but I'll have plenty of time to test it out and see how it does. I also cheated again. This small pillow, and I got the bigger pad. Oh, I slept like a baby with that. The Snug Pack jungle bag I used, excellent product. I like them because they have a mosquito net. Mosquitoes weren't that bad last night, but sometimes they are. Definitely have to get some mosquito netting for the ends. That's on my list. The next time I go to my surplus guy, he actually has some, so I will pick up a few rolls of that. I did use the light in here, and I'll show you that. It was awesome. The tent worked great. Some people said, why are you going to do that and not use a tent? If you show up on my property and you got a tent, so much better. I have 4 tents, a 4-man tent and a couple of small 3-man tents. I'm not going to break the 3-man tents out. The reason is those are for my bug out. If all of a sudden we had to pick up and move and my tent is lent to you, we might not have time to get it and to pack it back up. So I'm not going to lend those 2 3-man tents I have. That's for my emergency bug out. So this worked great. So if you show up with a tent, guess what? And we got enough of the material to build one of these. You can take your tent, especially if it's like a little 3-man pop-up tent, and put it right here with the entrance going into here. Cover it with another tarp, and you have a nicer facility. I'm gonna go ahead and charge my batteries, but I didn't really use a lot last night. The sun jack, I've talked about that before. It was very helpful. I was able to keep my phone charged last night. These little lights are awesome. I bought 2. I've been messing with them, but last night was the first time I officially actually used them for a real purpose other than just messing around. I think it's the equivalent of about a 50-watt light bulb. Highly recommend them. Even if you don't have one of the sun jacks, they're compatible with anything that takes the USB port. Highly recommend them. They're awesome with the off and on. They're so much better than trying to get a flashlight out and shine. Luckily, we had no fire call last night because my response time would have been probably a couple minutes slower down here, but I am so happy, no fire call. What else did I learn, and what else did I get from your comments? Cooler for the potable water. I got this for hot water because it's insulated so well. These are awesome. There's nothing on the market cooler wise that can compare to this, but the problem is they're over $100. I'm gonna go and buy a cooler, the round coolers with the little dispensers, for water, for just potable water. Those are excellent for transporting, but they're very hard to pour. Trust me, you waste so much trying to fill a U.S. government canteen or Camelback with that design, and we cannot afford to waste anything. Definitely last night, you can sleep out here. I'm in the South, probably 7-8 months out of the year you can comfortably sleep out here, but there are 3, 4, 5 months sometimes that you would want some type of better shelter. That's where my cabin comes in. I need to get that fixed up, and that would be used for a warming place for the refugees. And when I say refugees, they're friends, but I'm just using that as if you know I'm talking about refugees coming, these are friends of mine, these are fellow preppers of mine that are definitely prepared, but they might have to pick up one day and leave their retreat and come here, and that's fine because I trust them enough to come here. And hopefully they trust me where I could come to theirs. If I lose my retreat, I can come there and they can give me some basic supplies to tie me over. I cheated last night. I went into the house. I have plans for an outhouse. Just time is a factor. But definitely going to build an outhouse, even not for refugees, but for my prepper group. Great to have. SOP on the restroom for me is our toilets are not used unless it's an emergency, unless you are sick and it's been told by the medic that you can use the inside facilities. You're going to use an outhouse, so that has to be built for sure. Definitely I need some ground cover, but I can't put that down until I remove that dirt, and then I will place the 10 by 20 garage right here. I will put pallets down for the floor. It's going to be an awesome place to cook and to eat, and I'm going to set it up if I have to activate my retreat plan, even if I don't have any refugees here, because it's a great space to do all kinds of things. I'm thinking washing clothes. If it's cold and rainy outside and you don't want to be outside, you can wash the clothes in there. A lot of uses for that 10 by 20, and it's definitely to help the refugees with a common center for them. So when that is done and dirt's removed, I'm going to have my buddy bring me a couple loads of the ground up mulch that I can get for free. He's a tree guy. So I'm going to spread that in here, and then what I'm going to do is put gravel. I already have the gravel. I'll spread gravel around my fire pit, and that will be so in case I get a hot ash jumping out, I'll jump on the rocks instead of the mulch. And it is a little muddy in here. I hate mud, so we're going to cover that with some ground cover. So one guy said this ain't going to work and you need a 60 by 20 pole barn for the refugees. I would just like a 60 by 20 pole barn for myself. It's not ideal, but as I progress and get this done, it will be much better than letting someone stay on the side of the road. Definitely. Well, somebody said I'm going to have AC. Sorry, no air conditioning here. Also, someone mentioned in a wheelchair and that structure will not fit. Yes, probably won't fit, but with the tent, the 10 by 20 garage setup, the small cabin, if one of my friends showed up and needed a little special attention, I would definitely show it to them. At this point, I don't have any friends in a wheelchair, so that is good. Also, these people are not full members of my group, but they are close friends of mine. So basically what I would do, and my SOPs written for this, is the group would elect a male and a female. Those people would represent the refugees. Those people could sit in on our group meetings. They can vote. Their vote is not a counting vote, but I definitely want to have their input. And it's definitely going to be a man and a woman. Eventually, they would not be over here cooking for themselves. The cooking would be done in one central location, and the refugees and our retreat group would work together, and they would each get a task for the meal. One person says, why don't you just use a tent? If you bring a tent, that's awesome. If I have the materials to give you this, then you can set this up and some more pallets, so you can set your tent on the pallet. You're going to have a much better place. You can use that for storage. Another problem is, let's say you come and you bug out with your car and you bring 7 or 8 guns. 7 or 8 firearms, long guns. You probably don't want to store them in there. So the small cabin, we could design an area there to store the extra firearms, the extra super valuable items, so they could be stored out of the moisture, because it's humid and we don't want anything happen to your firearms. Question, do you consider yourself a prepper or more of a self-sufficient person? Oh man, that's $1 million question. I am both. I'm a prepper trying to become as self-sufficient as possible. There's no way I can ever become self-sufficient. But I'm trying to get as more self-sufficient if the economy crashes, if there's no Walmarts, if there's no outside support, and I have to take care of myself and my family. Another thing, this morning when I started the fire, I split a little bit of kindling wood, and it was loud, very loud when I split this. So definitely SOP quiet time for the retreat and for the SOP for the refugee center. Plus, we might need to be quiet anyways just because of the security that we're pulling. People in the refugee center are trusted friends. They would pull security. I have an SOP for that. I learned a lot. I've spent years of my life actually sleeping outside in the military. So I have a lot of experience basically sleeping with a poncho and a poncho liner. But this helps me get things a little bit better for people. And it's fun. So if you're a local prepper and you want to do some camping with me next time I do it, man, it'd be great to have a couple more guys here and get to know you and just test out our gear and figure out what will help. I learned a lot. I learned that I'm not ready. If tomorrow I got 10 people here that are close friends, I'm not ready, but guess what? We'd make it. Thanks for watching.